Okay. Hello, welcome everybody to have you joining us for this yoga class. So yeah, my name's Anna, and I'm using a new microphone today, so I hope it's working. Is that, yes? Good. Yeah, my name's Anna, and I'll be teaching the class today. And we're going to be looking at, transforming anger into, I was going to say anger into hatred, but that's not right. I don't want to do that. Anger into love through the practice of yoga or something like that. So yeah, really, really warm welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Do say hello in the comments if you'd like to. Some of you might be joining us for the first time. Some of you might be regulars. Yeah, you're all really, really welcome. Some of you might even be practicing in your gardens. So yeah, I was really, really just struck by how grateful I was for the weather when I was walking here this morning. Lovely blue skies, and well, if anything, well done for coming to practice and yeah, not just lying down in the sun. Is anyone saying hello in the comments?
Yeah, Ian said happy birthday.
Yep. So yes, it is my birthday tomorrow. So thanks, Tara, on the comments for letting everyone know. Okay, great. So yeah, let's make a start and make it 12 o'clock. I'll just say a few things about the practice and then we'll get going. So yeah, really warm welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming and joining us today. Yeah, so we're going to be focusing in the practice today on ways. Well, it's so the title of the class is from anger to love. But really, I think what I'd like us to do is just bring a little bit more awareness to our state, to our kind of emotional state, and particularly through connecting with the heart. I think with a title like transforming one thing to another thing, what I immediately think of is that I'm going to be trying to squeeze out drops of love from my sort of negative experience. And actually, what I think is more useful, especially when we're practicing with the body, it's just using the time as an opportunity to really experience your range. So I know that I can feel very angry sometimes, and often I think there is a lot for us to feel angry about. But I know that I can also I have a great capacity to feel a lot of love as well. And I think really what we can do in this practice is just allow space for our hearts to kind of open and just to practice coming into relationship or coming into connection with our emotions. And then from there we can start to sort of turn towards the positive and just kind of nudge them into full fruition. But it's not like we're trying to stamp out negativity. In a way that won't work. I just wanted to say one more thing, which is that I think with a word like anger, it has a really volitional quality, like it implies an action. And I think often what is lacking in ways that, especially in English, we describe the positive emotions is that they can feel a little bit more passive, a little bit more lukewarm. One of the writings on love in a Buddhist context that I really like, it describes love as being like the sun, so radiating outwards in a really, really powerful way, and in a way that burns and shines and blazes forth. So rather than being something that's lukewarm and a bit passive, it's actually got a really, really active volitional quality as well. And hopefully in this class, even if you don't feel that, and you don't feel that all the time, which I know I certainly don't, perhaps just bringing in awareness that you have the capacity to feel that love. It is sort of within us, and if we turn towards our experience and give it space to come to fruition, then well, we can just see where that sort of takes us. So yeah, we're going to start now just with a very short sit, and I'll just guide us through that, and then we'll start to move. So just find yourself in a comfortable seat. You can cross your legs or sit on blocks or cushion. And just close down your eyes, let your hands rest on your lap, on your knees. And using the contact between your sitting bones and the ground as a basis. And from there, just starting to think of expanding upwards and outwards through the chest. So we're thinking of growing that space between the sitting bones and the collarbones. So as the sitting bones soften and ground into the mat or your support, you've also got this sense of the heart space, the chest, the front of the chest, growing a little bit up and out. And it might manifest in a sense of just growing a little bit taller. And just start to tune into the sensations around the front of the chest. And just registering whether the sensations here are subtle or maybe even practically non-existent, whether they're a little bit stronger, and just seeing if you can stay with your experience, whatever that may be. And then using the breath, you can just begin to breathe up into the chest, up into that heart space. And you can imagine as you breathe in that you're just creating a little bit more space in this area of the body. So the chest expands, the chest lifts as you breathe in. And just softens a little as you breathe out. So just taking a slightly deeper, smoother, longer breath in. And a slightly longer breath out. And then you can keep the eyes closed, but just place one hand on top of the other at the center of the chest. And then again, feel the breath flowing up into the chest and pressing into the hands as you breathe in. And just softening, yielding somewhat as you breathe out. Good. And then when you're ready, just blinking open the eyes, releasing the hands. And then let's take the arms out to the side. So hopefully you've got the space for this. And then bend your elbows to 90 degrees. So I'm going to call this cactus arms. And then from here, start to draw the elbows back behind you and lift and broaden the collarbones. And just take a breath in here. So feeling the broadening across the front of the chest. And then as you breathe out, you're going to bring the forearms and the elbows towards one another. So rounding into the upper back a little bit. And then a couple more times. So as you breathe in, opening out the arms. And then bringing the arms back together as you breathe out. And then one more time. So breathe in, pull the elbows slightly back, lifting the chest. And then breathing out to round the upper back. Good. And then taking the arms out towards the side. And this time, take the hands behind your back and interlace your fingers. And start to straighten the arms and send them back behind you. And then it's like you're trying to pull your upper arms slightly apart from one another as you lift and broaden the chest. And just make sure that the neck stays soft here. You might just want to move the head a little bit from side to side to make sure you're not straining. Good. And then last one here, release the hands and then take them in front of you and interlace the fingers. And just press the backs of the hands away from you, thumbs pointing up, round the upper back. So feeling that space around the back of the shoulders. Good. And then gently release. And then just into a side bend from here. So take your right hand down to the ground outside your right hip. Bend your elbow a little bit straight down towards the ground. And then reach your left arm over and up. So you can look a little bit down towards the ground. You can bend your right elbow as much as is comfortable, just so that you don't bend it so much that you feel like you're rolling off to the right. Your elbow might even be able to get all the way down to the ground. And just take a breath into your left side body, so finding space there. Good, and then coming all the way up through center and take it to the other side. So left hand a step out from the left hip, right arm reaches up and over. And there'll be a point when you come into the stretch that you'll start to feel the side of the body light up. If you go too far, then you might miss it. So just go kind of gently into it. And then you might find that you can take the left elbow to the ground. And I like to look down at the floor when I do this posture. And then just taking a big breath into that right side body. Good. And then come all the way back up to center. And then let's come over to hands and knees from there. So you might already be feeling a little bit more space or a bit more sensation around the rib cage, around the front of the chest. So let's see if we can maintain that awareness as we move through the practice and as you come to your hands and knees. Okay, so just spreading the fingers nice and wide. And then we'll come into a little back bend from here. So coming into, we'll come into cat-cow from here. So lift the chest, broaden through the collarbones as you breathe in. And then do the opposite, round through the upper back, relax the head, press the floor away. And then a few more times, just breathing and moving with the breath here. And seeing how much you can keep the awareness at the front of the chest as you move through the posture. Good. And then next time you round into the back, just press yourselves back into child's pose from there. So lowering the hips down towards the heels and then slide the hands forwards. Take the forehead down towards the ground. And then see if you can pad your fingers a little bit further forward so you get a bit more space through the armpits. And then just taking a big breath into the back of the body. And a long breath out. Good. And then from here, just slide your hands back so that you're sitting on your heels. And then we're going to move through a little forwards and backwards flow that that Shraddha Gita, who teaches here, introduced to me that I really, really like. And I think it fits well with this exploration. So we'll start by just walking the fingertips a little bit back behind the body. And then start to lift the hips away from the heels and lift the chest. Good. And then we're going to lower the hips down towards the heels, pad the hands forwards, slide the hands forwards, chest low to the ground. You come all the way down onto the belly, so you're kind of sliding forwards. Hands are going to come under the shoulders. And then lift the chest, so coming into a little back bend here, just a little low cobra. And then like a wave, lower back down to the ground. And press yourselves back into child's pose. So rounding through the back. And then from there, hands are going to slide back to behind your heels. Lift the hips, lift the chest. And then hips are going to lower down. Hands slide forwards, slide out onto the belly, and then rolling up into a little back bend. And then from there, press back through child's pose. Hands sliding back, lifting the chest. And then just keep going. So we're going to move this a few more times. And I just encourage you to move at your own pace. And don't worry too much about doing it right or wrong. There is no right, wrong. Just moving forwards and backwards. Yeah, and if you're feeling pain in the lower back, as you lift your hips up, then just skip that bit. Let's see if you can allow yourself to get a little bit sort of mesmerized by the flow of the movement here. And as you settle into the rhythm of the movement, can you again take the awareness to the front of the chest? Let's see if we can just take one more round here. Good. And then from here, just sliding forwards. And then coming up into a cobra pose and just pausing. So hands underneath the shoulders. Collarbones moving forwards. Back of the neck long. Good. And then lower down to the ground. And then from here, we'll come up into a downward facing dog. So hands under shoulders, press up through your hands and knees, and then tuck your toes under. Lift the knees and draw back, up and back into a downward facing dog from here. And just pedaling it out through your feet. So you can bend into one knee, then the other, just relaxing the head, let the head be heavy. Let the breath be smooth and flowing. I think another component of this practice is an appreciation of your body as it is, an appreciation of what the body can do. We'll look more at this on Wednesday, but rather than focusing on the things that your body can't do, you know, maybe the legs aren't fully straight or the heels don't come down to the ground. Just an appreciation of all the things that your body can do and does do, all the ways that it serves you. Okay. We're going to come into a low level lunge from here. So let's step the right foot forwards to between the hands. You can help it along its way if you need to. And you can lower the left knee down to the ground, or you can fold over your mat or place the knee on a block. And then from there, lift the chest. I'm just going to tuck my cable in. Lift the chest and reach your arms up over the head. Press the hands together if you can, and see if you can reach up through the ring fingers of your hands. Good. And then from there, release the hands and take them to behind your back. Interlace the fingers, lift the chest, and start to stretch the knuckles back towards your left heel. Breathing into the front of the chest and thinking about separating the upper arm bones a little bit away from one another. Good, okay. So from there, we're going to come into a side bend. So I'd like you to step you might need to walk the right foot slightly further forwards. And then your right hand is going to come down to the ground or onto blocks or a substitute between your right heel and sort of your right hip. And then you're going to lean a little bit to the right, reach your left arm up, and then dive it over towards the right-hand side. So feeling a big side stretch through the left. Again, you can look down towards the floor here. Let the hips soften forwards. Good. Okay, and then from here, left hand comes down to the ground, outside your right foot, and then tuck your left toes under, lift the left knee away from the floor. Good, and then we're going to come into an open twist from here. So start to reach your right arm up towards the ceiling, and then a little bit lean into it. So lean the chest open as you reach that right arm up and also back behind you. Good, and then looking down towards the ground, right hand comes down. Draw yourselves back into downward facing dog from there. Spread the fingers out wide. Okay, and then looking forwards, left foot steps through to between your hands. Right knee comes down towards the floor. Untuck the toes, and then lift your arms, lift your chest. And coming into Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. So palms pressing in towards one another. Lifting up through the ring fingers. Good, and then from there, release the hands, take them to behind your back, interlace the fingers. And then begin to lift up the chest as you pull the knuckles back. Just make sure that the neck stays nice and soft. Okay, and then releasing the hands. So leaning forwards, left fingertips come down outside the left leg. And then right arm reaches up and leans over towards your left-hand side. So big side stretch for the for the right. Look a little bit down towards the floor. Soften the hips slightly forwards. Good. And then right hand comes down inside left foot. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. And then reach the left arm up. Open out the chest. Leaning slightly back. So feeling that opening across the front of the left shoulder. Full breath in. Good, and then looking down towards the ground. Left hand comes down, stepping back, coming into a downward facing dog. And then this time, pull forwards, coming into a high plank pose. And then drop the knees to the ground. And the chest moves forwards as you lower to the ground. Hands stay under shoulders, tops of feet press down, lifting up through the chest, cobra pose. Draw the collarbones forwards. And then drawing back, coming into downward facing dog from there. Spread the fingers out wide and breathe. Okay. And then from there, just bending into the knees a little bit more and start to tiptoe the feet towards the front of the mat. So you're coming into a soft forward fold from here. So knees nice and soft. Relax the head and just taking a hold of your opposite elbows here, just letting yourself swing a little bit from side to side. And here, with the rounding through the spine, there's a kind of protective quality to the posture. So just feeling that, the kind of protective quality around the heart space. Shaking the head a little bit side to side. And then releasing the arms, bending the knees even more, and just start to roll up to standing. Head comes up last. Just coming up to the top of your mat, standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. Spread the toes out, press the feet into the floor, and then lengthening up through the spine. Again, finding that broadness through the front of the chest. Extending out through the fingertips. We'll just take a couple of rounds of sun salutations here. So reach the arms up as you breathe in. Lift the chest, a little bit of a back bend here. And then soften the knees and fold forwards, relaxing the head as you go. Then take the hands up to the shins and elongate the arms, Elongate the spine, look up. And then from here, fold forwards, take the fingertips to the ground and step your right foot back. Keep the right toes tucked under, right knee lifted. So from here, start to draw the heads of the shoulders back as you lift the chest a little bit. And then plant the hands and draw back into downward facing dog first. So press the feet into the ground, press the hands, lift the sitting bones. Good, and then pulling forwards, coming into a plank pose. Knees are going to come to the floor. Slowly lower down, untucking the toes. Lifting the chest. Little cobra. And then from there, tuck your toes under. Lift your hips up and back. Back into downward facing dog. So just softening through the back of the neck. Good, and then from there, looking forwards, right foot steps through to between your hands. Come onto the fingertips. Take a breath in as you draw the chest forwards. And then exhale to step your left foot alongside your right, folding forwards. Hands slide up towards the shins, elongate the spine as you breathe in. And then exhale, folding, relaxing the head. Good. Press the feet down, lift your arms up, reach up, look up. A little bit of a back bend here. And then dive forwards, fingertips to the ground. Same thing, second side. Lifting halfway up as you breathe in, feeling the spine lengthen. And then exhaling, folding. Left foot steps back. Draw the chest forwards, take a breath in, firm through the left thigh. And then exhale, hands come down. Draw back into downward facing dog. Spread the fingers wide and remember to rest whenever you need to. So you can either stay in downward facing dog or pulling forward, come through a high plank position. If you want to, you can keep the knees lifted or take them to the ground. You can lower down all the way to the floor or halfway. And then back bend as you breathe in. You can take baby cobra or maybe something else. And then lowering down. Press the hands down as you lift the hips up. Downward facing dog. Spread the fingers out wide. Take a full breath in. And a long breath out. Good. And then look forwards, take a breath. Exhale, left foot steps forwards. Again, you can help it along its way if you need to. Breathing in to lift up through the chest. Slide the shoulder blades back. Breathing out, folding forwards. Relax the head. Halfway up as you breathe in, so slide the shoulder blades down the back as you lift the chest. And then exhale, folding in, relaxing through the head. Good. Feet press down as you lift your arms up. Lift the gaze. Good. And then take the hands towards the center of the chest, palms touching. Look down towards your fingertips. And as you press the thumbs into the breastbone, can you lift the breastbone slightly up towards the thumbs? Maybe you can feel the breath, maybe you can feel the heart. Good, and then just releasing the arms down. And again, this time with a low level lunge. So take a breath and lift your arms up. And then fold forwards, breathing out. Good. Come halfway up as you breathe in, elongate through the spine. And then step the right foot back. Take the right knee down towards the ground. Untuck your toes. Pad up the knee if you need to. We'll be here for a few breaths. So take the arms up as you breathe in. And then bend your elbows out to the sides as you breathe out. And what I'd like you to feel here is your shoulder blades. So sort of switching to the back of the body here. So start to pull the elbows back, just like we did at the start of the class. until you feel the shoulder blades start to draw towards one another behind your back, like wings. And then all you're going to do is tilt one elbow a little bit down towards the floor and lift the other one a little bit up. So you're tilting one way and then coming through center and tilting the other way. And just do that a couple of times. So just see if you can feel the shoulder blades sort of sliding around on your back. And yeah, if there's any other way that you'd like to move, then feel free. Just taking a couple more breaths here. Lovely. And then when you're ready, hands come down to the ground. Step it back, coming through downward facing dog. Spread the fingers out wide. And then either staying here or resting, or coming high up onto the tiptoes, rocking forwards. Either the knees come down or they can stay lifted, lowering down. Coming into a back bend as you breathe in, draw the shoulder blades towards one another. And then breathing out to press back into downward facing dog from there. Spread the fingers wide. Lovely. And then from there, same thing, second side. So the right foot steps forwards this time. Left knee lowers to the ground. Untuck the toes. Press the feet down into the floor to lift your arms up. And then again, just bending the elbows out to the sides. So just leaning the body slightly towards the right. Right elbow can drop. Left elbow lifts up. Try and keep connected to the back of the body. So again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So if you're worrying about whether you're doing it right or not, or feeling a bit frustrated, then just notice that and just see if you can come into contact with how the back body feels. Coming into contact with your direct experience. Good. And then let's take the fingertips towards the ground. And this time, step the left foot alongside the right. So coming forwards into a forward fold, relaxing through the head. Hands slide up to the shins as you breathe in. Lengthen through the spine. And then breathe out, folding forwards. Relax the head. Good. Press the feet down into the ground, circle the arms up. Lift the chest, coming into a small back bend. And then again, hands are going to come to rest at the heart. Thumbs to the sternum. Just taking a full breath in here. And a long breath out. Okay, we're going to come into some standing postures now. So step your left foot back long. We're going to come into warrior two from here. So nice big step between your 2 feet. Bend into your right knee. And reach your arms out wide. So nice big shape here. Yeah. Little bit of a wider space than perhaps is your default. Yeah. And today I'd like you to really, really think about making a big shape and opening out through the front of the chest. So shoulder blades draw a little bit towards one another. Collarbones broaden. Steady breaths and a steady gaze. Just keep thinking about getting a little bit bigger, getting a little bit more expansive. Good. And then when you're ready, straighten out the front leg. Reach the right arm forwards. And then tip down, right hand comes to right shin. Left arm reaches up towards the ceiling. And then gently just start to lean it slightly back. So triangle pose, but with a little bit of a variation. So you're really focusing on opening out through the front of the chest. Look up if it feels okay on your neck, or just look down towards the floor. Couple of breaths. Lovely. And then press into both of your feet. Come all the way back up. And then rebend your front knee. We're going to come into Parshvakonasana here. So either right forearm to right thigh or right hand down to the inside of your right leg or your right foot. So right knee is bent, left leg is straight, left arm reaches up and then over towards the front of the room. And then again, can you find a sense of leaning back into the posture? Nice long line between your left fingertips and your left heel. Good. And then press into both of your feet and come all the way back up. Good. And then we'll just change sides. So rotate your right toes in and your left toes out. And then bending into that left knee, arms out wide. So again, you might like to slide the feet slightly further apart. And it's like you could grow in all directions. So reaching out through your fingertips, broadening across the front of your chest. And lengthening up through the crown of your head. Good, and then start to straighten out that front leg. You can shuffle the back toes a little bit in. Reach the left hand forwards, and then tip down, right arm up, left arm down to left shin, maybe down to the floor. And then again for today, just rotate the chest a little bit out towards the ceiling. So a sort of open twist here. If that doesn't feel good for you, if it doesn't make sense, then just do a normal triangle pose, that's fine. And if you can, just keep that awareness at the front of the chest. Keep breathing into that space. Good, and then pressing into both of the feet, come all the way back up. And then re-bend that front knee, reach forwards through the left hand, and then left forearm to left thigh. Right arm reaches up and over. And then as you take the right arm up alongside the right ear, can you again rotate the chest around towards the ceiling? And think about getting a little bit broader, a little bit more expansive. Couple more breaths. Lovely, and then pressing into both of your feet, come all the way back up. And then step towards the front of your mat. Take the feet together, and then we're going to come into a chair pose with a little twist. So start to bend the knees, come into Utkatasana chair pose. Sit low, and then lift your arms up over your head. Good, and then keep the lower body as is, but take the hands together in front of the chest. Okay, so we're going to come into a twist here. So some of you might be able to hook your right elbow on the outside of your left thigh, like this. If that causes your knees to come out of line with one another, then just rotate the chest without trying to touch the elbow onto the thigh. Okay. You'll have a bit less rotation, but you'll still feel the posture just as much, if not more. And then there's a tendency here to let the chest cave in towards the floor. So can you do the opposite and really, really open through the chest? Lovely. And then look down towards the ground. Come back through center and then take it to the other side. So wherever you are, try to keep the knees in a line with one another. And then focus on broadening out through the front of the chest, almost like you could lean back a little bit. Tilt the head slightly back. Lovely. And then look down towards the ground. Fingertips come down, separate the feet slightly, soften the knees. And just come into a forward fold. And just breathe here. Nice big deep breath in. And a long breath out. Good. And then take the hands down towards the floor. Draw back into a downward facing dog from here. And then we're going to make our way down towards the floor. So just come forwards and come to lie face down on your bellies. And just rest here with the palms crossed, forehead resting. And just feel the breath as you breathe in and out, kind of against the ground. Just notice the breath here. Tuning in again to the sensations in the heart. Lovely. And then take the arms back behind you. Interlace your fingers. We're going to come into locust pose from here, but a bound variation. So as the fingers interlace, start to lift up the chest and then lift up your legs as well. And don't worry about how high you're lifting. Think about lengthening out through the sides of the neck. And then separate a little bit the upper arms. For one more breath. And then slowly, just lower down to the ground. Release the arms. Take a big breath in. And a long breath out. And then you're either going to repeat that posture, or if you've got a bit more range in your back bends or a bit more experience, you can bend both of your knees and come into Dhanurasana, upward facing, or bow pose, not upward facing. So reach back with your hands and see if you can catch a hold of your ankles here. Flex into your feet. And then start to lift your chest up as you start to press the shins back behind you. And if all you can feel is your lower back talking to you, then come down a little bit. So it's a really, really good posture for opening out the front of the body. But it's a very, very difficult posture and it's hard to breathe in. So just do your best to breathe here for a couple more. Good, and then gently come all the way down. Well done. So if you took that variation, you might just like to swing the legs from side to side a few times. Good, and then we'll all meet in a child's pose from there. So just pressing back, sitting on the heels, reach the arms forwards. And just take a breath here. Lovely. And then from there, as we move into the last part of the class, you can either take a seated meditation here. So you can either come up to sitting, or you can come to lie down on your backs. And if you're lying down on your back, then you can take any little wriggles. We haven't spent any time on our backs, so if you'd like to just take any little movements here, or perhaps a little bit of twisting, then there's time for that. If you'd like to come straight into your final resting posture, Shavasana, then you can do that as well. I'm just taking a few moments here to start to round up the practice in a way that makes sense to you. And then in your own time, just settling back. If you're lying down, then just settling into Shavasana, your final resting posture. And I'd really encourage you to make space here. So perhaps you can reach the fingertips away from the body. Shuffle the shoulder blades apart. So the back of the body, the upper back, is kind of nestling into the ground. And then you can imagine that the skin on the back of the neck is lengthening, so you can just tuck the chin. So you feel spacious across the front of the chest, you feel spacious around the shoulders, around the neck. And coming to rest in a receptive awareness of the quality of sensation in the heart, in and around the heart. So if you're lying down, you can just start to slowly move. And then just making your way over to one side and coming to a comfortable seat. You can keep the eyes closed. I'll just end with a quote from the first line of the Dhammapada, a collection of really early Buddhist teachings. It goes like this. Not by hatred are hatreds ever pacified here in the world. They are pacified only by love. This is the eternal law. So not by hatred are hatreds ever pacified here in the world. They are pacified only by love. This is the eternal law. Okay. So thanks everyone for practicing with me today. So I'll be back on Wednesday, and then Shraddha Gita will be teaching on Friday. And yeah, we've got loads of other events going on at the centre, meditation, courses, and talks. So yeah, I do really encourage you to get involved. all the details that you need to find out what's going on are underneath this video. And there's also details there on how to donate to us. So we really encourage you to, if you're able to, sort of join in with our culture of generosity. So we give these teachings freely, but in order to for the classes to run, we do rely on your donations. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a lovely week, and yeah, I hope to see you again soon.